So this whole slate of games here, I'm going to make it super simple. I'm going to take the points with Seattle plus 10 points in this early game. In the afternoon game today, I like Jacksonville plus 2. In tomorrow's games, I like the Dolphins plus 14. In the Vikings and Giants game, I do like Minnesota to cover the 3-point spread. You might even buy it down to 2.5 if you want, but I feel like Minnesota covers this game. I like Baltimore with the points. 8.5 points. I like Baltimore here. And I also like Dallas to cover.
So as you can see, I went 4-2 with my wild card playoff picks last weekend, and this is picking against the spread, which is way more difficult than just picking money line winners. And I also didn't use any sort of gematria while making my picks. No gematria whatsoever, and my picks are very clear and concise and easy to understand. Nobody can ever accuse me of making a case for both sides, or not making a pick, or changing my pick, like somebody we know.
All right, I like the Bills to beat the Dolphins. I like the Bengals to beat the Ravens. I like the Jaguars to beat the Chargers. So this is going to set up the Bengals-Bills rematch, right? Which we have to have. At least I feel like that has to happen. We have to have a Bengals-Bills rematch. And so this scenario sets that up. Over in the NFC, I like the 49ers to win. Like I said, this isn't who I think is going to cover the spread. This is who I think is going to win only. All right. And I like the Vikings to win. I like the Cowboys to win.
So as you can see, I went 5-1 picking these games straight up, with my only loss being that Vikings pick. Now, let's compare my picks to Zachary Hubbard's picks.
Welcome back, Truth Seeker.
Let me explain to you why there's a pack of trolls that live on the Patreon and hate on the community and slander me 24/7, 365. It's because the casinos are very unhappy about this. Do you know how much money I pulled out of the casinos' pockets? I guarantee you it's in the hundreds of millions of dollars. Okay, so 49ers, first game of the playoffs, big favorites. This is the 50th game between both teams, too, big number in San Francisco. If the 49ers beat the Seahawks, they'd be 20-30 versus the Seahawks in the 50th game. Kind of looks like 23 for 2023. The Niners would stay on 13 home losses versus the Seahawks with a win on the 13-date numerology. And also, this game is 30 days after the last meeting of the 49ers and Seahawks. If they beat the Seahawks, they'll be 3-0 against them for the year. A lot like 30. Shanahan, if he does win, he is 5-2 in the playoffs, going with the wild card thing. Like how the Niners are 5-2 in the wild card round. Oh, I forgot to mention Brock Purdy also equals 52 in the most pure cipher. So he's got the right numbers for the wild card round. I can help him get the 14th over the appropriate team. Seattle Seahawks 43, the 14th prime on the 14th of the month. Okay, Chargers and Jaguars. If the Jaguars were to win this game, they would become 4-1 at home in the playoffs. We know 41 plays a lot with LA. LA's 41. And if the Jaguars won, they would also improve to 5-2 in the wild card round. And earlier this year, the Jaguars did beat the Chargers, and they beat them with 38 points. So is that a clue for what's going to happen in the wild card game? Just the fact that the Jaguars won that game and won with 38 and now can become 5-2 in this round, and they are meeting in the wild card, I think that's not a bad clue for the Jaguars, who are slight underdogs at home. And Trevor Lawrence, he can also get his 13th win in this game. Today's date numerology is 13, and he's playing the 13 city LA. Looking at the quarterbacks, it looks better for the Jags. Looking at the wild card narrative, it looks better for the Jags. Okay, Dolphins at Bills. Again, This Buffalo season has been all about 14, starting with the top shooting on May 14th with the 14 words on the gun. They clinched the playoffs on the day, leaving 14 days left in the year. Umpire 14 stood over DeMar Hamlin and a million other 14s we've documented this year. They can now win their 14th game of the season, defeating the Miami Dolphins. Dolphins has that Gematria 43, the 14th prime. And today's date numerology is also 14. And that would give the Bills their 14th home win in the playoffs. But again, I will be very, very surprised if the Bills don't get their 14th win in light of how much 14 we've talked about this year with this team. But okay, Giants and Vikings again. If the Vikings win, they're 9-1 at home. Vikings 91 in the strongest cipher. Again, all the things right here. Johnny in the chat was saying he thinks the narrative's dead even between these teams. I disagree with him. I do think that there is a reason to hedge with the Giants like we talked about, but I don't think that the narrative is equal for these two teams. Again, we look for the wild card numbers every year in the wild card round. The Giants don't have a wild card connection. The Vikings do. The Vikings, Cousins can get his 74th win. That's wild card in the most simple cipher. Again, the Vikings can get the 14th win of the season on the 14 date numerology. Date numerology smoking right now in sports. So yeah, again, to me, I think the Vikings have the better narrative. The wild card riddle, definitely better for the Vikings.
How about shut the fuck up, morons? I'm not wrong about anything. And I told you guys I was going to work on the ego. I don't feel like this is coming from a place of ego. I feel like this is coming from a place of truth and honesty and facts. There's never been anyone more right who's walked on the face of this fucking earth than yours truly.
The Ravens and the Bengals, again, Lamar Jackson yesterday announced on social media he's not going to play. I also do like that the Bengals, even if Lamar Jackson was in this game, I'd still have to favor the Bengals because the wild card numbers on their side. Bengals can get to 3-8 in the wild card. Wild card's 38 like Ravens. And this is also the 55th game between these teams as well. In the Bengals' 55th season, and the Ravens can fall to 5-5 away. If Burrow wins, he would become 4-1 in the playoffs. We know Baltimore likes 41 a lot. Baltimore, the 41 city. Bengals can also get their 13th win of the year, and Baltimore 41, the 13th prime. And then Cowboys and Bucks. Again, the prime number relationship with 38 is 163. If Brady does defeat the Cowboys, he will get his 163rd home win in doing so, which is the 38th prime number. The name Martin Luther King Jr. in Gematria is 258 when you run it in reverse, and Martin Luther King Jr. Day is 258 when you run it forwards in the stronger cipher, but it's 258 both ways. And look at Brady's home record in the playoffs. Brady is 24-8 at home in the playoffs. So if he won today, he would be 25-8 on Martin Luther King Jr. Day. But Brady already had a nice little wild card riddle going and all the 8 stuff we talked about. And then he also has this. Martin Luther King Jr. Day, 258. And Martin Luther King Jr. alone, also 258. And it would be a repeat of last year, right? Last year was the first playoff game that I remember on a Monday, or MLK Day for that matter, and you had Stafford beating Kyler Murray. A white quarterback beats a black quarterback. NFL with the race rituals as they do so often. Could be the same thing again this year. Brady beating Dak Prescott. But yeah, again, Brady's got the wild card numbers, and he's got the perfect ritual for MLK Day. I do think it's the better narrative. It's where the value's at.
How about shut the fuck up, morons? I'm not wrong about anything.
You're not me. You're not the person who broke the code. You're not the person who's helped people win for 10 years. I'm sure there's somebody in a casino right now with my picture throwing darts at it. Fuck that guy. Cost us a lot of money again this weekend. All you guys who sit on the sidelines and can't find $5 to find out the truth, guess what? You probably cost yourself a whole shit ton of money by missing out on this whole NFL season. We've been torching the NFL all year.
So as you can see, Zachary K. Hubbard went 4-2 with his picks, but he didn't make picks against the spread. He only picked moneyline favorites for the most part. Big moneyline favorites that don't really pay jack squat if you bet on them. So if you were to bet $100 on every one of Zachary K. Hubbard's picks from this last weekend, you would have lost money going 4-2. That's because he doesn't make any picks against the spread. He doesn't pick against the spread because it's a lot more difficult and he's a chicken shit. And he doesn't want to get a bunch of picks wrong and expose that his gematria is bullshit, so he picks a bunch of big money line favorites like the Buffalo Bills and the Cincinnati Bengals. Yeah, bro, anyone can pick the Buffalo Bills to beat the Dolphins. The real winners take the Dolphins with the points. The real winners took the Ravens with the points. Hey, Zachary K., why are you so cowardly that you won't pick against the spread? Why don't you start pulling some numbers out of your ass and pick against the spread like a real sports bettor does?
I get annoyed when people are like, "Hey, your predictions are nowhere near Nostradamus." You know what, you guys? This is not a false statement. I could wipe my ass with the name Nostradamus. Literally. Literally.